started. I hope you guys are doing really well tonight. It is good to see you all. Alrighty, hold on and share this to my group as well. Okay. Hello guys. It is great to see you all. Give me 1 second. I'm just double checking and making sure it was shared on all the right spots because, okay, I think it was. This, guys, is a topic that you all have been blowing up my messages with for good reason. You are all asking, how is it that we've been able to make a COVID vaccine so quickly? We are going to talk about how we've been able to do that and why maybe we've been able to do that with this vaccine and we haven't been able to do it with other vaccines. This is actually a session I've been really looking forward to doing with you guys because I know you guys have been asking me and wondering why so fast? Is it safe? It's so fast. So these are excellent questions. First of all, want to welcome everyone to the show. Shall I call it that? I'm Dr. Jen Caudle. I'm a practicing family physician. I'm also a television health expert. I'm also a video creator. I am live right now on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, Facebookers. We'll do shout outs at the end. It's great to see you guys. For our YouTubers, I appreciate your membership to my groups and also super chats and super stickers and write your questions in the comment. For Facebookers, thank you guys so much for the stars. You're already sending them. I so appreciate it. I'm so excited that many of you are members of my Dr. Jen Superstars group. That's my subscription group. So why don't we just get started? The big question tonight, or rather all the time, is, so how were we able to come up with a COVID vaccine so fast? How was it that just literally weeks, a number of weeks, but weeks after COVID really became a pandemic, especially in this country, in the US, how are we able to come up with a vaccine? You all are asking this question, and you're asking a very good question, a very smart question, a very wise question. We all know, and we've been talking about this, I've talked about it on the news when I've done segments, that vaccines often and usually take years, if not decades, to be manufactured, produced, distributed, etc. So how then is it that we're able to make this vaccine so much more quickly? So that is really the question that you guys are asking. That is the question of this evening, and it is a very good question. There's a number of reasons why we've been able to make this vaccine so quickly. And I think these reasons are actually very interesting, even as a physician. It's great to sort of go back and remind myself of some of the science and some of the sort of, the lab science that plays a role as we look at, okay, why and how have we been able to make this vaccine so fast? Let's first start with, there's about 4 or 5 reasons I want to give you. First of all, let's start with what we're in right now and what scientists have been trying to figure out. So think about it this way. First of all, we're literally in the middle of a pandemic. This is a worldwide phenomena, basically something that we have never seen in our lifetimes before. It is deadly. It is affecting millions of people literally throughout the globe. That alone, the urgency of the nature of what we're going through, has been a big propeller in the fact that we've gotten a vaccine so quickly. Now, it's not to say that other conditions are not as important, because they are. Cancer, finding a cure is important. Finding a cure for HIV or a vaccine for HIV is important. But what happened was with COVID-19, COVID-19 really rose to the forefront and really sort of rose to the top in terms of something we had to get on and jump on right away. So that's some of what we're seeing. But let's sort of get to a more granular level. What else? Why else? How have we gotten this vaccine so quickly? First thing is collaborations, okay? And I know you guys have heard about this on the news. There have been collaborations galore, and it is a wonderful thing. Part of this has to do with the fact that we're literally in the middle of a deadly, dangerous pandemic that is completely racking this world right now. And so what's happening? Companies, industry, nonprofit organizations, academic institutions, government, all of these entities and more are coming together to try to help. It is not just one academic institution that's trying to come up with a vaccine. It's not just small companies or a small company or even a large company. What you have here literally is the world's resources coming together to collaborate and work together. We're seeing companies on different continents working together. And once again, academic institutions, we know our government, other governments, large companies, small companies, nonprofits, other sort of consortiums and groups that are coming together. That collaboration, guys, by the way, is huge. not only is it sort of leading into the next thing I'm going to talk about, but it also has to do with resources and sort of the push behind getting this done. So that's one thing, and perhaps the second thing, right? Because the first thing is really talking about how the nature of this pandemic, that enough is a push. Then we talk about collaboration. The third thing is funding. Okay, because we have this crazy pandemic that we're living in, that's literally threatening the lives of everyone in this planet to some degree. Okay. Um, we not only have collaboration, but we also have people, organizations, companies, nonprofits, governments that are putting money into this. It's one of the ways we've been able to move forward relatively quickly with this vaccine. You can't move forward if you don't have money. And in years past, with some other vaccine candidates and things like that, even other drugs, sometimes they stall or they get halted because of money constraints and money issues. So we have been hearing about big and top dollar when it comes to trying to make this vaccine work. That has made a difference and continues to make a difference. That funding is what is allowing us to basically have vaccine candidates ready to ship once the vaccine candidate is approved, assuming it will be. It's money. Okay, it's one of the main things, right? Okay, so again, we're answering this question: how have we been able to get a vaccine so quickly? How are we doing this so quickly? Well, again, pandemic. We talked about collaboration. We talked about funding. Next thing is something that sort of was related to those two things. I saw an interview on Medscape, which I love looking at their videos and interviews. This was an interview that was done by a woman named Dr. Michelle McMurray Heath. She is the president of Biotech Innovation Organization. And she was saying, sort of as part of answering the question about how we've moved so quickly with COVID vaccines, one of the things she says is her organization has sort of tabulated that there are at least over 800 research developments that are in progress right now for COVID. Over 800 entities that are involved in research and development. Guys, that's huge. And there certainly may be more than that. COVID has really sparked a spark in us. And it's not just one or two entities that are trying to help, it's a whole bunch. And all of that brain power, manpower does make a difference. The other thing that she mentioned was of those greater than 800 entities working on research and development, 191 of those are specifically focused on the vaccine. So that's pretty impressive and it's pretty wonderful. And thank goodness for this, right? Aren't we happy that we have all of these resources and organizations that are really trying to make this work because we need it? Absolutely. Now, let's go back a little bit more to the science, because I know many of you still say, well, okay, I hear you, Dr. Jen, but we don't have a vaccine for other viruses. We don't have a vaccine for, common cold. We don't have a vaccine for this and for that. Why still COVID? And you're right. We are moving quickly. I mentioned at the beginning that it generally takes years to, if not decades. The quickest vaccine that we've ever developed thus far is the mumps vaccine. That was done in 4 years. Okay, so that took a long time compared to what we are now, and that's the shortest of what we've had. Some science aspects of that play a role is, number one, the virus that we're dealing with. Okay, the virus that we're trying to, or the thing that we're trying to develop a vaccine against, in part will determine how easy or difficult it is to develop a vaccine, okay? And one of the things that happened with the COVID vaccine is in some ways we lucked out because it's a coronavirus. That's the virus that it is. And the way that this virus works in the body, et cetera, there actually had been prior research done on other coronaviruses, such as SARS and MERS. So number one, in terms of the science, not only are we lucky to be dealing with a coronavirus, which is something that we can manage, say, better than other viruses, right? Because every virus is not created equally. Every virus is not equally, we're not equally able or easily as able to develop a vaccine against. So we lucked out with that it's coronavirus. The second part of that is because it's coronavirus, and many researchers have been working on SARS and MERS for a long, long time, and those are coronaviruses, we had a lot of the framework in place. There were a lot of basics that were in place. So when you say, or when you wonder, well, how is it that all of a sudden we have a vaccine for this? Well, the truth of the matter is, it's actually not all of a sudden. The platform and some of the basis for these vaccines have actually been in the works for a long time with other coronavirus entities such as SARS and MERS and things like that. I think that's really, really, really important. Okay. Because, these are all the things that are really making a difference as to why we're able to have this vaccine much more quickly than really any other vaccine that we've ever had. I want to recap these because it's really, really important. And I understand if speed makes you uncomfortable. But first of all, I would say, and I would argue fiercely here, that speed is something we should be grateful for. We don't, as a society, as a world, we don't have time for a COVID vaccine to come 2 or 3 years. Imagine that. I know you might be afraid of the COVID vaccine coming too soon, but imagine if the reverse were what we were living in. Imagine if we didn't estimate to have a vaccine for 2 or 3 years. How would you feel then? I can tell you I would feel horrible. I would feel absolutely devastated. It would be defeating. The thought of kind of continuing in the state that we are for potentially 2 or 3 more years, or whatever the case is. I'm not saying that to say that you shouldn't be worried or that you shouldn't have concerns. But what I'm saying is, first of all, speed here is a blessing. Number two, we have to remember that speed does not necessarily mean that we're cutting corners. The same rigor is supposed to be going along with this vaccine as we do with other vaccines. The thousands, tens and thousands of people are going to be studied, are being studied. T's have to be crossed, I's have to be dotted. Scientists have continually reassured us that the vaccine is going to be studied as rigorously as it should be. And I've always said, and I say this again, that, and I promise you this, I rarely make promises, but I promise you this. When the COVID vaccine comes out, when it has been FDA approved, it's been properly vetted, the science has been looked at. And by the way, we haven't seen all the data for all the candidates, and I admit to that. And we may learn things as things go on, and there are probably going to be some side effects, et cetera. I've done videos about that. But when the vaccine comes out and it's approved, I'm going to take it. And I'm going to recommend it for my patients. I'm going to recommend it for my family. I already am talking about this with my family and my patients. Okay. So my point being is that I understand that the speed or the quickness may make you uncomfortable, but remember, think about the alternative. We are lucky to have vaccine candidates that are coming up so quickly. Remember that speed doesn't necessarily mean faulty. Just because it's quick doesn't mean it's bad. That logic will get us in trouble. What we have to focus on is the data. What is the data showing us? If the data proves okay, as I mentioned, I will get the vaccine. So just to recap, some of the main things that are playing a role into why we've been able to get this COVID vaccine so quickly and more quickly than so many other things is, number one, the gravity of the pandemic. When I say gravity, the graveness of this pandemic, how horrible this is for the world. That in and of itself is propelling us forward and propelling so many of us to go out there and say, we've got to figure out a solution. Okay. Not only that, we've got collaboration. Because this is a huge pandemic, there's organizations, there's institutions, academic institutions, there's colleges, universities, there's governments, there's big industry, there's small industry, large companies, small companies, nonprofits, all coming together to try to make this work because we have to. So there's collaboration on a large scale. Also, with all of that comes funding. We're getting money. If you don't have money, you can't get nothing out. Okay. Those of you who are business owners or you run business, you know this. Money is central to so many things. So we're getting lots of funding, and that's another way that we're able to move this forward. Other things is that this is a coronavirus, and researchers have actually been doing research on coronavirus vaccines for years with SARS and MERS and other things. So you may think that this just started the research. It did not. We are continuing the process. This has been in the works. Thank goodness. This virus we are fighting is a coronavirus in some ways that we've had some prior research on and have been able to apply that to this situation to some degree. Thank goodness for that. Also, as I mentioned, coronavirus is a type of virus that we've been able to sort of try to figure out a way to navigate, right? There are some viruses we don't have vaccines for, HIV and others. Not every virus is created equally. So guys, I've said this before, do not let the speed and the pace at which we are developing this vaccine either turn you off or make you scared. What we need to focus on is what the data shows. And as I keep saying, I sound like a broken record. Should the data prove to be what it seems so far, and should it prove to be safe and effective with minimal side effects, FDA approved, et cetera, I will be taking the vaccine and I will recommend it for you and my patients and my family as well, for those who qualify. So guys, I hope this was helpful. I'm going to take a deep breath because you guys, I feel like it's not that you've been silent. It's just I've been talking a lot. I want to stop and say hello again to you guys because I've really been excited about this session. This was a really, really important thing for me to talk to you guys about. I wanted to do it during live so I could get your feedback. I want to thank everybody. Welcome. And we're not done yet. I'm going to take some questions. But for those of you on YouTube, just want to give you a shout out really quickly. Rufus, Sheila, Sin, Rita, Milton, Dennis, Drew, everybody. Thank you on YouTube for joining in. Thank you so much for your super chats and super stickers. Also for joining also my my YouTube, my groups on YouTube. Facebookers, hello. Thank you guys for the stars. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all the stars. I'm going to get to some comments and questions now. And thank you all for joining my Dr. Jen Superstars group. And those of you who are also in my Healthy Living with Dr. Jen group, I love that as well. I get to interact with you guys a lot. I know I feel like I'm tripping over my words, but this was really an important session for me to do with you guys. So let me go through a couple of things, take a couple questions and things like that. Let me see we're at 16 minutes. We're doing good. SimAware on YouTube, you said the world is watching the UK for results right now. Yeah, in some ways, because they've already approved the vaccine before we did. So yes, they are being watched. Jose on YouTube, you said I read that it will take 2 years to observe any side effects once the vaccine is administered. Is there any truth to that? Jose, what you're talking about is that the vaccine people in the studies for the vaccines, and actually there are some of my YouTube and Facebook members, some of you guys are in these trials. I've had some of you pipe up and say you're in the Moderna trial, etc. We so appreciate you. God bless you for being in these trials and for helping out and helping us figure out what we need to do and help us learn. Jose, to answer your question, researchers are gathering data right now about side effects. They are learning about side effects right now, but to your point, they will be following those in the studies for at least 2 years, possibly even longer, to see what additional side effects, if any, people have. So that is the case, absolutely. Kanya on Facebook, you said thank you for your breakdown. I'm glad that was helpful. Simone, you said so you want us to take a vaccine that will rewrite our DNA. I suggest people under the hidden agenda behind this. So Simone, I did a video a couple of days ago about mRNA vaccines and how they do not rewrite your DNA. They do not alter your DNA. These vaccines do not do that. It's one of the biggest myths going around. Believing that these vaccines will alter your DNA is just like believing that the flu shot will give you the flu. Those are both incredibly false. It is not possible for mRNA vaccines to alter the DNA. It does not actually enter the nucleus of the cell. Messenger RNA gives a set of instructions. Please take a look at the videos. I've got them on YouTube and on Facebook. The video entitled, Can the mRNA COVID vaccine alter your DNA? Click on that, watch it, share it. Please, please, please do. Okay, let's keep going. Other questions. Let's see here. Michelle Guilford, thank you so much for summarizing these points on Facebook. Actually, thank you. You've listed all the points. Let's see here. And I would just add one thing to your points. Michelle, you listed the gravity of the pandemic, collaboration, funding, and studies have been in works. Actually, no, I think you have collaboration funding. No, yes, honey. You got it, Michelle. Thank you for the summary. This is awesome. I see some of my Dr. Jen superstars on Facebook. Hi, Lisa Peach. Hello. Let's see here. Mary, you said, do you think that they should administer the vaccine to frontline people like grocery stores, hospitals, facilities, since they're putting their life on the line? I do think so. And we know that the CDC and the NIH and other organizations are suggesting that the first people who get the vaccine are frontline workers and those who live in long-term care facilities. I would hope, my parents actually were just asking me about this tonight. They said, well, Jen, we're over 65. When are we going to get it? Shouldn't we be getting it in some of the first, be some of the first people to get it? And yes, certainly people who are at risk are those who are elderly, people with underlying medical conditions, people of certain ethnic groups. African Americans are particularly higher risk. Latino Americans, et cetera. So the question will be after the frontline health workers and those who live in long-term care facilities, how they're going to roll it out after that. Will they take people with certain medical conditions? Will they take people with of certain age? We just have to wait to see. But I do think that that's very important. Lamont, you said, is this virus man-made? No, honey, it is not man-made. That's really important. I did a video on that, I think a little while ago, some months ago. COVID-19 is not man-made. Jay Kala, you write a lot on my Facebook page. I so appreciate your support. You said, will more vaccines be coming out by other folks? Very likely. Okay. So we know that Moderna and Pfizer, I think, are the two that are applying for emergency use authorization. There are so many other vaccine candidates out there. There's AstraZeneca, the Oxford vaccine, there's others. So, and the idea behind that is that the more vaccines that we have, the more people we can immunize, right? Imagine one company basically supplying all the vaccines for the entire world. It's pretty tough. So the more vaccines we have, the more availability we have, maybe the more options we have for people of different that have different risk factors. I mean, I don't know, right? I don't know yet because we don't know. But the idea is this hopefully will give us more options and more opportunities to keep people safe. Okay. Rufus, you said on YouTube, you said, I had the flu shot today. I'm so glad you got the flu shot. Yay. Should I wait to get the vaccine because of the flu shot? Well, first of all, the COVID vaccine is not out yet. Okay. So it's not out yet. Second of all, when the vaccine comes out, we'll have to see if it has any restrictions about, say, getting other vaccines at a certain period of time closest to it, right? Right now, I have not heard any language about, if you get one vaccine, you can't get the COVID vaccine so close. But once again, we'll have to wait for the formal sort of emergency use authorization and see if there's any other guidelines or recommendations that they're made, that are made at that time. Okay. Let's see here. Banks Edwin, you quoted me and you said not every virus is created equally. Created, doctor. So I think you're getting at it may have sounded as though I am implying that the virus is created. So when I use that phrase, it's a phrase that I use, like when I say no two pairs of jeans are created equally. No two patients are created equally. No two blood. That's my way of saying that everything is different and different in and of itself. It doesn't mean that the virus is created. So I do want to clear up that misunderstanding. No, the virus was not created by man. Okay. Let's see here. Covey Mansa Johnson, you said, is the data going to be public to view? It should be, and hopefully it'll be available to doctors very soon as well. Absolutely. Let's see here. Let me take a few more. Let's see, Carol, thank you. Okay. Carlene, you ask if people are allergic to vaccines, what do you do then? I think we have to wait for the vaccines to be approved and then find out what restrictions that they have. Even as a doctor, I'll have to find out what restrictions and guidelines, which patients they say I can give it to, not give it to, etc. I'm actually going to have to wait for that information, just as you all. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Kanya Williams, you said, girl, yes, I would take it tonight if possible. Yes, honey, yes, I would. Let's see here. John Paul, you said, great information tonight. You're on YouTube. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you appreciated the information. I was hoping this would be helpful. Let's see here. Oh, sorry. I think I'm making this screen too big. Okay, good. All right, so let me just take a couple more. And Jay Smith, you said you're taking the vaccine despite the speed. I am as well. And I'm glad this was helpful. Let's see here if there's any other questions. Couple things. Just want to remind you guys, I've been doing a lot of videos lately on, will the vaccine alter your DNA? What are the vaccine side effects that we know about? What side effects to expect? Vaccine myths. I'm doing all these videos because I want to get us all prepared for when the vaccine comes. I want you to be educated and have your questions answered. So especially make sure if you have not clicked on getting notifications for my YouTube channel, let's hit the little bell to get the updates. On Facebook, make sure that you hit get notifications so you get notifications for my lives, but also the videos. Every day I post 3 to 4 videos. Much of it is new content about the vaccines because we're literally at the last stretch. I want you guys to have every piece of information you possibly can. So hit get notifications, hit the little bell to get updates for YouTube. Also, I remember I go live on every Monday and Friday night. For those of you on Facebook, I so appreciate you guys sending stars. For those of you on YouTube, I appreciate you sending super chats and super stickers. A little reminder before we go, we're going to go in just a couple seconds. I'm going to be on HLN tomorrow morning at 9:15 a.m. Eastern time. I'll be talking, that's Headliner News. I'll be talking on that CNN sister station. I'll be talking about the vaccine and also about the comments that Biden made about how when he comes into office, he'll ask everyone to wear a mask for the first 100 days. So tune in tomorrow for that. And then I'm also going to let you guys go because in 2 minutes, that's 9 p.m. Eastern time, CNN is doing a coronavirus fact or fiction segment. I don't know if Fauci's there tonight, but they're talking specifically about vaccines. So I'm actually going to tune into that. I advise you guys to, and take a look and see if what I said was what is or not, and see what we can learn tonight. But we are in this together, guys. We will get through this. I love you. Thank you for the stars, the super chats, the super stickers. You guys are amazing. I will see you guys soon. Make sure you check every single day, multiple times a day for videos. I got you covered. Okay. Love you guys. Bye. Bye, YouTube. Hey, guys.